Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are running a massive pressure test on a core piece of hidden logic that literally dominates our daily lives. Look, we all know algorithms are watching us, right? But here is the real question. Are these feeds simply reflecting our desires back to us, or are they secretly shaping them? Exactly. We're looking under the hood at the systems architecture of these platforms to answer one ultimate question. Is the algorithm just a mirror, or is it an active feedback loop reshaping your attention? Let's dive in and find out.
Okay, so I kind of want to start by questioning a really comforting illusion we all hold on to. When I open an app, I love to think it's just passively paying attention to what I naturally enjoy. I click on a cooking video and bam, it gives me more cooking videos. It feels like the app just gets me, like it knows me.
Right, and it's an incredibly compelling feeling. And to be fair, in the very beginning, that is genuinely what these systems do. They observe. But the hidden mechanism we need to understand today is what happens next. Because the algorithm doesn't just stop at knowing you.
And this perfectly illustrates the central metaphor we really need to grasp, the mirror that teaches. Imagine a mirror that you walk past every single day, but instead of just showing an accurate reflection, this mirror is programmed to only show you smiling. Over time, you might actually start smiling a little more when you walk past it. Not because you're fundamentally happier, but because you're slowly conforming to an environment that rewards that specific behavior.
Wait, so you're saying the algorithm isn't just satisfying an appetite I already have, it's actually constructing it? Because when I'm on a platform, it honestly feels like I'm the one making all the choices.
I mean, take Netflix's own self-reported data, for example. It was published in an academic journal, and it shows that roughly 80% of what people watch on Netflix comes directly from algorithmic recommendations, not from people actively searching for a show. Doesn't that just prove the system is incredibly good at reading our minds and giving us exactly what we want?
Well, it proves the system has enormous leverage over what you encounter. But to understand if it's reading your mind or actively shaping it, we have to look at the underlying mechanics. Let's break down how this actually builds.
Okay, so here is the hidden logic of the feedback loop. This is literally the core mechanism of every major recommendation system out there. Step 1, you take an action. Maybe you just linger on a post for 3 seconds. Step 2, that behavior becomes data. Step 3, that data shapes the next recommendation. But here's the absolutely crucial point. Step 4, that new recommendation slightly alters your next action. It makes certain things feel a bit more familiar and others more foreign, which then, of course, generates brand new data.
Hold on, so the loop just feeds on itself. The algorithm changes my environment. I react to the new environment, and then it learns from my new reaction?
Precisely. And we're not just making this up, it's anchored in expert clinical commentary. Look at this 2026 editorial in the British Journal of Psychiatry. They argued that these systems actively sculpt preferences through iterative reinforcement, meaning the version of you that the algorithm reads the second time around is already slightly different from the very first time. It is a relentless training loop.
So it's not just learning what I like, it's slowly training me to like what it shows. That is wild. But okay, training loop sounds incredibly sinister. Are these tech companies sitting in a boardroom intentionally designing mind control devices to addict us?
That's a super common fear, but the reality is way more structural. The system isn't necessarily a conscious villain trying to manipulate you. What it is a blind optimization engine. Social media feeds utilize something called variable ratio reinforcement. You scroll, and sometimes you get a highly engaging post, and sometimes you don't. It's totally unpredictable. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner proved way back in the 1950s that this exact unpredictable reward schedule is the single most powerful way to sustain habit-forming behavior.
It's literally like pulling a slot machine lever. So instead of some Bond villain in a swivel chair intentionally trying to brainwash us, it's just an emergent property of the system trying to keep us hooked?
Exactly right. Platforms do not optimize for your long-term happiness or your education. They optimize for measurable engagement. We're talking watch time, clicks, streams. And research by Jonah Berger and Catherine Milkman proves that high arousal emotions, things like anger, anxiety, and awe, drive the most engagement. Because algorithms are strictly optimizing for those clicks, they naturally and structurally surface content that triggers those intense feelings. It's just blind optimization converging on human psychological vulnerabilities.
Wow. So the algorithm doesn't actually care if I'm angry. It just knows that when I'm angry, I don't close the app.
And the depth of this effect is staggering. There was a massive 2025 pre-registered study on Blue Sky during an election period, tracking over 6,000 users.
It showed that the engagement-based algorithm systematically amplified emotionally charged political content. But you want to know the scary part? It literally reshaped users' perception of what was normal to say. By seeing so much amplified emotion, users started believing that was the social norm, which directly increased their own intentions to post emotional content. Okay, so it didn't just change what they saw, it literally changed their baseline for reality. But surely not all apps are doing exactly the same thing, right? Are we treating the algorithm as too much of a monolith here?
That is a fantastic point, actually. The monolith myth is something we absolutely have to break down. Different architectures produce entirely different behavioral outcomes. Netflix, for instance, optimizes for retention, cultivating what's called aesthetic pedagogy, which basically means it's visually teaching you what to value. TikTok goes for short session engagement, resulting in rapid content clustering, hyper-focusing you into micro-trends. YouTube wants sustained watch time. They are totally different beasts.
Okay, let's look at Spotify then. If I listen to a ton of indie rock, Discover Weekly gives me more indie rock. It feels like musical discovery. Where's the harm in that?
The harm, or rather the hidden effect, is what researchers call taste tautology. A study by Spotify's own research scientists found that heavy reliance on algorithmic playlists actually significantly reduces your consumption diversity. So while it feels like you're out there discovering new bands, you are actually just burrowing deeper and deeper into a highly specific subgenre. The algorithm isn't expanding your musical universe, it's slowly fencing it in.
Fascinating. So it basically builds an environment so incredibly comfortable that I just stop exploring outside of it. Honestly, that completely explains why my Spotify Wrapped looks exactly the same 3 years in a row. But what happens when that environment isn't just music? What happens when it's actively harmful?
Because I've read about this CCDH study where test accounts registered to 13-year-olds paused on body image videos, and within minutes, TikTok was serving them eating disorder and self-harm content. That really feels like the system actively hurting people.
It is a deeply concerning finding, and it shows what the feedback loop can do. However, to be completely intellectually honest here, we must caveat that the researchers used artificial accounts that were actively seeking out and engaging with this specific material. TikTok correctly pointed out this doesn't represent a typical user experience, but, it brilliantly illustrates our core thesis today. The algorithm is a blind optimization engine. It followed the engagement signal, even a totally negative one, wherever it led, showing just how rapidly it can build a vulnerability pipeline.
Section 1, where the story overclaims. Let's debunk the radicalization myth. So, to challenge probably the most sensationalized media narrative out there, are these algorithms actually brainwashing normal people into political extremists? Because we literally hear that constantly.
Right, but as an analyst, I have to follow the strongest empirical evidence, and the evidence requires us to debunk that myth right now. Take a look at this data from Jose Marti and colleagues published in PNAS back in 2021. They tracked the actual browsing histories of over 300,000 YouTube users, and they found that the vast majority of extreme partisan video consumption, like up to 85% of it, is driven by user intent. People are explicitly seeking it out. Only a tiny fraction actually comes from algorithmic recommendations. In fact, when researchers removed the algorithm entirely, some users consumed even more partisan content.
No way. So the algorithm isn't pushing mass radicalization at all? We are just walking right into those specific echo chambers ourselves? Precisely. A massive 2022 literature review by the Reuters Institute explicitly states they found absolutely no support for the filter bubble hypothesis as it's popularly understood. For most users, algorithmic curation actually leads to slightly more diverse news use. The system doesn't create echo chambers from scratch, it merely amplifies and accelerates the pre-existing self-selection tendencies of a small group of already highly partisan users.
Skeptic. Honestly, that actually softens the panic quite a bit. It brings the responsibility right back to us.
Because at the end of the day, humans aren't mindless zombies. I can just close the app. I can hit not interested. I can go search for something completely different. I still have autonomy.
I entirely agree, and research on what's called algorithmic resistance documents exactly this. Users routinely push back within these systems all the time. But here is the ultimate synthesis of our entire pressure test today. User autonomy isn't eliminated, but it is heavily constrained by the environment. The algorithm shapes the terrain you are walking on. It makes some paths incredibly smooth, frictionless, and emotionally rewarding, while making other paths steep and really difficult to find. You're making autonomous choices, sure, but you're making them within a highly engineered maze. So, to answer our core question from the very start, no, The algorithm is not a conscious villain sitting in a server room somewhere trying to control your mind. It is a relentless, automated system optimizing for behavioral engagement. It reshapes the reward environment around your attention, it rewards high arousal emotions, narrows your content diversity, and establishes brand new baselines for what feels normal. But it has absolutely no opinion about who you become.
And you know what? That might be the most unsettling realization of all. It's not a mirror that knows you perfectly. It's a mirror that slowly, over thousands of tiny interactions, trains you to match its reflection.
Exactly. By deciding thousands of times a day what you encounter and what you skip, the algorithm doesn't just predict your future behavior, it helps decide who you become. So next time you find yourself endlessly scrolling, just ask yourself, are you choosing what to watch, or is the environment choosing for you? Thanks for joining us for this explainer. Keep questioning the logic.